The Deer Farming Channel is brought to you by Rafter P Construction. Stick around to learn more about Rafter P's design build process and, of course, the biggest deer in the world. So when was the last time you heard a deer farmer play the piano like that? Odds are you never have, because this deer farmer is a little bit different. She didn't come from a deer farming background, but she's running one of the best deer farms in the entire state of Wisconsin. Her name is Vanessa Nelson. The name of the farm is Rush Canyon Ranch. And on today's program, we're going to introduce you to Vanessa and her family, and you're going to see how this farm right here is blowing people's minds right up in the great state of Wisconsin. The white-tailed deer is America's favorite big game animal, and white-tailed deer farming is the fastest growing segment in the agriculture industry. Our program's mission is to dive into the world of deer farming and inform you of how deer farmers all over the country are now using rapidly developing science-based research on their captive deer herds to solve the chronic wasting disease issue through selective breeding. Not only is this new science working, but it's obvious that captive deer breeding is the only way to help save America's deer herds from CWD, which will help improve overall herd health and at the same time can produce more quality trophy-sized animals for the general public. Join me as we discover how whitetail genetics, deer auctions, animal husbandry, and so much more drive the modern-day deer farming industry. My name is Keith Warren, and this is Deer and Wildlife Stories. So any deer hunter or deer farmer knows that the state of Wisconsin is just covered up with chronic wasting disease and has been for decades now. And so somebody may ask themselves, why in the world would anybody want to start deer farming in Wisconsin? Well, the truth of the matter is, deer farming in Wisconsin is alive and well thanks to folks like the people right here at Rush Canyon Ranch and some new scientific developments regarding chronic wasting disease. First, we'll introduce you to Vanessa Nelson. She is the ranch manager here at Rush Canyon Ranch. And her background, well, it's not a typical background for a deer farmer. Vanessa, you don't look like your typical deer farmer. No, you don't. So how did you wind up? Tell me about your journey from going through school and being a teacher. Tell everybody about what you've kind of done historically and how you wound up a deer farmer.
Sure. So I was a piano teacher, like you said. Loved teaching, loved music, doing all that. But when my dad said he was going to start a deer farm, he asked if I would help out. And I was like, yeah, I'll help out. And I was thinking it'd be like part-time, you know. No, it's a full-time job.
So you had no experience with deer?
Not with deer, no. We grew up with like horses and sheep and chickens, ducks, all that kind of stuff, but not deer. Hunting, yes, experience with deer. We actually hunted this property before we put the fence up here, so I could tell you what the native wild deer look like out here.
And now you have
120s, stuff like that.
Now you got like this.
Oh yeah, we got 320s, 420s.
So how many pens do you have and how many deer?
We have A through Y, so 25.
Okay.
And with the fawns, we're about 350 right now.
Holy smokes. That is more than a full-time job.
It is. That's why we have help.
Yeah, well, you couldn't do it without help. That's for sure.
Not.
Do you have other people that will help you medically with deer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a cousin who went to school for animal science, so she's got a really good background there. And then two other gals that grew up dairy farms, Wisconsin, obviously dairy farms. They've had just a whole lifetime of experience, and I've learned a lot from them. So just been surrounding ourselves with people who are wiser, smarter than us, and learning from other people, and it's been a really fun experience.
And I had an opportunity to sit down with her father, Chuck, who is the owner of Rush Canyon Ranch, and hear his thoughts on deer farming. What is the business model here? Who is your customer?
Up until this last, I want to say, really year, because we're pretty fresh in the business, you know. This is year 5 now for us. And at first, let's see what we can do to raise large deer. And then the industry kind of changed. Then everybody wanted the typical deer, you know. Especially people, you're here in Wisconsin, they're used to seeing the nice 8, 10, 12-point typical deer. Now, we're finding out that there's a great possibility we may be able to defeat the CWD that's going on. And so Vanessa and I have been concentrating on the genome typing and starting to raise that side of the herd.
Well, that's where the business is going. That's where science is taking us. The North American Deer Registry is responsible for all this information. We share it with one another in order to build these CWD resistant deer, and that's what we're doing. And so try to evaluate where the market's going. And the market, yes, is for typical deer, but it's for the healthiest typical deer that we grow. And it's this science that we get from the North American Deer Registry that is allowing us to make better decisions when we breed to produce these CWD resistant deer.
Exactly. I believe that 100%.
You got a deer, he needs some help. His name is Hightower, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We need to go take care of him.
Okay.
And
when we get back, Hightower's fixing to get a haircut. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by MVP Whitetails, Dr. Ray Favero's Whitetail Genetics, Ranchland Solutions, and Rafter P Construction. For more videos on deer farming, check out the Deer Farming channel on YouTube and make sure and follow us on Facebook. All right, so we're at Rush Canyon Ranch and we got a buck in trouble. We're gonna go knock this buck down and we're gonna show you what it takes to cut one off.
My rangefinder, my darts. Okay, big boy.
Yeah, so he's hurting. When did he actually damage the antler?
Yesterday.
The thing is, this time of year, deer can get antler infection really quick. When they break an antler, the antlers are engorged with blood, and if they break through the velvet and that blood comes out, the flies can land on that blood, lay their eggs, and once the eggs get in the bloodstream, if you don't stop it, the animal's dead, so we gotta go take care of him.
And this is my MK. And I'm gonna drop 3 cc's of this. It's a sedation drug for the deer. This is a pneumatic rifle, meaning that it uses a CO2 cartridge to launch the dart. We put our dart in back here. Then I would grab my rangefinder and figure out how many yards away this guy is. Let's say he's 30 yards. That means I'm going to fill my CO2 with 6.9 bars right there. And then safety off, and I'm ready to shoot.
There you go. Our conditions are absolutely perfect. The sun went down, it's getting much cooler, and he's gone to sleep. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go in there, put him on the trailer, take him up to the barn, and get to work on him. There you go. You got it? Okay, let me get out of the way. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna give it about 15 minutes, then we're gonna take a saw and saw it off above where the tourniquets are. Okay, good. Great. It's not bad at all. Okay. And then we're going to take a cauterizer and we're going to cauterize any blood that comes off all the way around the whole circumference. Let me put some powder on him. Okay, let's just let it sit there. All right, so what we're doing is we're going to give him just a little bit longer, and then we're going to bring him in this room right here. This is where he's going to wake up. There's a fan in here. Tomorrow morning, we're gonna open up the door and we're gonna lead him outside, and then he'll walk back to his pen and everything will be good. And it's so important because if we didn't do this, this deer would probably not be alive tomorrow morning.
Put your stuff down.
Sorry. All right, so this is a reversal drug. It'll wake him up after being knocked out. I'm gonna go right along where the white hair meets the brown hair, right in there. The rest is going in the vein. There we go. Okay. All right, well, we just reversed him and he's looking good, and we're gonna send him back home first thing in the morning. Checked him out this morning and he looks really good, and think he's ready to go back to his pen, and so we're gonna send him back right now.
All right, go ahead, Vanessa, open it up. Now close it up, close it up. All right, I'll tell you when to open that door.
All right.
Okay, go ahead. Perfect. All right, let's go push him down there. Yeah, this is so good. It forces him to get some exercise, to move, and get breathing and all.
Yes.
This is good for his recovery. Just go on back in your pen, boy.
All right, buddy. There you go.
All right, that went just like we wanted. The one thing that we notice is he's favoring his right front leg. We're just gonna watch him today and make sure he's okay. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by the Animal Kingdom Auction Barn and 5K Ranch, LE Fence Company, the Texas Deer Association, Ranchland Solutions, and New Dart. Deer and Wildlife Stories will be right back. Closed captioning is brought to you by Advanced Deer Genetics. All right, so who's that big boy?
That is Apollo.
Wow. How old is he?
He's 3.
Was he born here?
Yes, he was.
Okay. My goodness.
Last year, he was a little smaller, a little messier. He actually cleaned up more this year.
Really? So did
Yep.
you use him to breed?
We did.
Okay, so you used him, what, as a live cover?
Yes.
Okay. Well, who are these other deer that are in with him? I mean, there's some really nice deer. How old are they?
Those are all yearlings.
These are yearlings.
Yep.
I mean, look at that one right there. Come on. Seriously?
For real?
Now, Apollo, I mean, of course, he's got a lot of non-typical stuff going on, but look at some of these other guys. I mean, they are beautiful. Nice frames. They're real pretty, typical frame deer. What you're doing, I guess, like every major breeder in the industry, you're looking at the markers, and that's what you're breeding for.
Yes.
Okay, so the markers and the GEBVs. And so as you look at these deer, realize, you know, these deer are already great. But because of the breeding strategy that they have and that they've already implemented, they're going to keep getting better and better over the years. Isn't that amazing? This is not the only yearling pen they've got. I mean, we took a look at another yearling pen, and I mean, there's some outstanding deer in there, some nice SS marker deer in there. And that pen right there had another big buck in it. What was his name?
That is Maximus.
And how old is he?
He is 4.
Okay. Now that breeder pen, like all these pens, they're pushing for this SS marker, and that particular pen has got some exceptional SS marker bucks in it. Mm-hmm. And so those SS markers, let me just tell everybody, they AI out here, and they have ever since they started. And so they're able to bring in semen from these real good marker deer from around the country and bring them into the herd. And that's how they're creating these genetically superior deer. But what happens is not all deer take to the artificial insemination process. There are some deer that remain open. So what happens is several weeks after the AI process, they'll put deer in it like Maximus, like Apollo, like Hightower, and put in to cover. And so when you've got cover bucks, that means every doe is going to have babies. And what we're hoping for when the breeding takes place is we're hoping for the best markers and the best breeding value. All right, so you come out to Rush Canyon Ranch and you can get with Vanessa, and she's going to have this with her. Okay, this is like her cheat sheet. She has every single deer on this farm is in the North American Deer Registry. Every single one of them. She knows the genetic markers on it. She knows the breeding values on every one of these deer. And she's got 25 pens, and the pens are big and they're manicured. But this particular pen, who is that guy right there?
That is 24 carat. He's a KS marker deer. He is -0.08 GEBV score.
All right, and how old is he?
He is 3.
So did you use him to cover last year at all?
We did, yep.
Okay, did you get anything out of him?
We did get some fawns out of him, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so who else is in here?
Got a couple other fellows we like. These have all been cover bucks, but we're looking at Tater.
As in Tot?
As in Tot.
Okay.
That's what we call his offspring, the Tater Tots.
Okay. All right, well, tell me about him.
Well, he was our very first buck fawn born on the farm and our first bottle baby.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We just love the look he's got.
That's fantastic. So who's this guy right here, this nice typical guy with some other stuff going on? Who is it?
That is Secret Agent. He is a G3 son that we got out of our embryo program.
Well, you had to be dealing with Lone Hollow then, right?
Yeah, yep. We did
Yeah.
all our embryo stuff came out of Lone Hollow, and a lot of our AI still does too.
Well, that's the reason why, too, that you've got such good markers.
Yes.
I mean,
yep.
and those guys at Lone Hollow, they'll tell you they just got lucky. They did. They happened to get lucky. And so what you've done, the embryo program, you've been able to bring it up here and be actually produce deer like that. Okay.
Yep.
All right, this orange tag buck over here, I know that's not a yearling. He doesn't look 3. He's probably 2.
He's 2.
Okay, he's a nice looking deer. Tell me who that is.
That is Orange 2238. Doesn't have a name yet. Talking about getting lucky with what you grow on your farm, this was born on our farm out of our first deer that we bought from Kevin Kalmus.
Yep.
And we didn't know what we had pedigree-wise or anything. We just liked this buck, we liked this doe, we put them together, that's what we got. And he ended up being an SS.
So he's an SS.
He's an
See
SS,
there? I'm telling you, the breeding is phenomenal. So, okay, there's another orange tag buck in here. Who's that?
That is Orange 2230, and he's from that buck I told you about originally. And then we put him with a triple crown doe. And that's what we got, and he's a GS.
Okay, so
Yep.
both those last 2 deer we've shown you, then these orange tags are both 2-year-olds.
Yes, both 2-year-olds.
Wow, very
Same dad.
impressive. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna leave this pen and we're gonna head to another one and show you some more bucks. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by Record Rack Deer and Elk Feeds, the North American Deer Registry, New Dart, Mossy Rock Ranch, and the North American Deer Farmers Association. Now it's time for the LE Fence Minute.
Hey everybody, it's Ron here with LE Fence. We're really well known for building any type of fence you could possibly think of, or any type of land improvement you could think of out on your property. But our main bread and butter has always been 8-foot game fence. This is for deer and exotic hunting ranches, breeding farms, facilities, whatever you want to keep in or out of your property. So today we're looking at this new 8-foot game fence. You can see here we got our H braces, double kicker for some small turns. We built this one out of bare steel pipe. Schedule 40 pipe is everything that we use. And then American green T-post. We like to go all American on all of our stuff just because the best stuff that you can possibly buy on the market. So whether you're out there looking for new fence construction, land clearing, or any property improvements you may think of, we've got you covered here at LE Fence.
Let's take a look at these deer in this pen right here. You don't have a whole lot of them, but they're all good deer. So tell me about that one. It looks to be the oldest one. Is that a 3-year-old?
Yeah, that one's a 3-year-old. He's black diamond.
So as far as pedigree wise, does that mean he has blackjack in him?
Sure does.
Well, no wonder. I'll tell you, blackjack threw like crazy. He's big, and as a 3-year-old, I can't wait to see what he does next year for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we ended up taking some blackjack and crossing it with some does that had some S's in there, and we did get one buck that's a GS blackjack.
Really?
Yep.
So which one is he?
Orange 16 over there.
Okay. Well, that's important because it's maintaining the pedigree of blackjack, but it's pushing out that SS marker.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
What we're trying to do in this breeding program is get rid of the G's. Simple as that, okay? And to get rid of the G's on the GG deer, you've got to breed it out and breed it to SS's. So the first breeding, if you're lucky, you're going to get a GS. And you got lucky on that one.
Yep.
And the next breeding, you got to get lucky to get an SS. But it takes you about 4 years, 4 breeding cycles to correct it and get that SS completely through your herd. But you've got some really good deer, and you're moving your way towards getting some exceptional SS deer all the way through the entire herd.
Yeah.
All right, so who's this guy here?
Well, speaking about SS's, that is our SS boy.
Really?
Yep. Yep, and he's got that negative GEBV marker.
Okay, good. Good. How old is he?
He's 2.
Wow. Okay, and definitely you're using him for a backup.
Absolutely.
I
He'll
mean,
get the most girls.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a heck of a nice deer. And the thing about it is there's not many people up north that have SS markers. They just aren't, okay? And for whatever reason, I mean, down south, more people have the SS marker, but up north they don't. But here at Rush Canyon Ranch, they do have the SS marker, and that right there is a real good example of quality and quality genetics at the same time. Okay, so who's this guy right? 22, what, 11, is that him?
That is 11. Yeah, he's our GS buck. Got through our embryo program. Pretty much straight Southern genetics on that one.
Really? That's
Real
good.
excited about him.
So let me ask you, do the Southern genetics work okay up here?
pretty well.
I mean, they're hardy. I mean, this cold weather, because it probably gets, what, 30, 40 below up here at times, doesn't it?
Sometimes, yep.
And so the Texas genetics are hardy enough to survive up here.
They have, yeah.
That's fantastic. It's good to know that, because a lot of people think, they can't handle the north.
Yeah, I'd say about a third of our farm is Texas genetics. We had a real heavy embryo program for 3 years, and we really liked the antler production, and then of course the S's, and brought it up here, and about a third of our herd is that, and they do just fine.
Well, that right there is a secret. That's how they got all the SS markers. I'm just telling you, that's how they did it. They didn't get it by breeding the northern deer. They brought it through the embryo program, the genetic resistance, and that's the way you're doing it. I mean, just the way it is. I mean, so, okay, you got another one over at 22, I can't read the last.
27. We really like him. He's real framey. He's a true grit son. He's also a GS, and I really love the look of him. He's one of my favorites in this pen.
Oh yeah, he's got a good look.
Oh yeah. We're gonna breed with him for sure.
All right, well, we just showed you a ton of deer here, and if you want more information, get a hold of Vanessa. And in the Wisconsin area, I mean, deer farming in Wisconsin has kind of been slow for the past 6 or 8 years due to CWD, but now, thanks to this new genetic development, we're able to actually build deer that are genetic resistant to chronic wasting disease, and they're leading the pack right here at Rush Canyon Ranch. So if you want more information, give them a telephone number.
920-573-4597.
And if you want to see more Deer and Wildlife Story episodes all the way back to the very beginning, head on over to YouTube to the Deer Farming channel. My name is Keith Warren, and we'll catch you next time.
For more videos on deer farming, check out the Deer Farming channel on YouTube and Facebook. Rafter P Construction is rural America's premier design build contractor, building projects from the ground up for luxury home builds to barn dominiums, from deer and agricultural facilities to lodges, and all property improvements and infrastructure. You need to check out Rafter P Construction. Specializing in quality farm and ranch design build projects, Rafter P Construction encourages their customers to be very hands-on. Rafter P Construction, they'll be with you every step of the way to build your dream project.